She thinks she's better when she has her gator.
You happy girl, yeah. Nose to the camera.
Sadie, sit. That's not the right command. Hey guys, Amanda here. So, I have super exciting news. After an entire year on medical leave, I finally got the approval to go back to work. So exciting. But of course, that doesn't come without anxiety. Anxiety of, can my body handle it? What are my coworkers? How are they gonna react? Are things gonna be the same? So today, I've been sitting here filling out boatloads of paperwork. I had an appointment with my primary care doctor this morning to kind of go over things, and they're filling out my FMLA paperwork, and then I went over to health services for the company I work for, which some of you may not know, but that is Walt Disney World. But I went over to where we turn all of our paperwork in so that they can fax it in or scan it into our file. And I didn't have the correct paperwork for the third time. They sent me paperwork and it still wasn't the correct stuff. So frustrating. But this vlog is to tell you that no matter what, no matter the frustrations that come with chronic illness and trying to figure things out and trying to deal with other people through your chronic illness journey that have to be a part of it no matter what, it's how you choose to deal with it. So in all of this, I could choose to be extremely angry about the fact that I have been sent the wrong paperwork, and I have been led in circles several times about the entire experience. Or I could sit back, like I'm choosing to now, fill out the new paperwork, drive it over to my primary care office, have them fax it in after they fill it out, and move on with my day. That's the easy thing. Why get upset about it? Because honestly, getting upset about it just makes everything worse. It makes my chronic illnesses flare, it gives me a migraine, it makes my heart rate go absolutely insane, which then makes me dizzy and makes my POTS flare, and it's just not worth it in the long run. Plus, then my wonderful right-hand girl right here, where'd she go? Right-hand girl realizes that I'm getting upset, and then she starts to get anxious and uneasy because she knows that something's wrong with me. So it's just not worth it. It's not worth it to get upset. And that goes to say for anything, any person that we come in contact with in our chronic illness journey, any situation we come in contact with in our chronic illness journey. This vlog isn't just inspired by this paperwork journey, but also from an experience that I had recently that I got frustrated about at the time. It wasn't an access issue, but I had an issue that had to do with having a disability. We were at a filming for something, and it was for a holiday Christmas special. We were invited to be a part of a taping, to be part of the audience, I guess you could say. And it was very exciting to actually have that opportunity. And of course, I'm gonna take my service dog because she provides assistance in several different ways. She's my medical alert dog. She provides assistance in that aspect by alerting to my mast cell activation syndrome. I don't always realize that I'm going into anaphylaxis. I kind of get into a brain fog, and so I don't realize that I'm beginning to have trouble breathing. I sometimes don't realize that I don't realize that the coughing is actually becoming the anaphylaxis. I also sometimes don't even realize that I'm beginning to severely itch at my skin. So she was trained to actually pick up on those triggers for my anaphylaxis, and she will alert me to the fact that that's happening. I can administer my emergency medication via my port to actually abort the anaphylactic reaction before it turns into something extremely serious where I have to use an EpiPen so that we have to go to the hospital. So we don't use epinephrine. We try to use it so that we don't have to use epinephrine by using another drug. But anyways, she alerts me in that aspect. She's also cardiac alert. And then she also is going to soon be utilized for mobility, light mobility, I should say. But we were going, and of course I brought my service dog, and when we were directed as to where to stand, we were directed towards the back of the crowd, which was completely okay. Didn't have any problem with that whatsoever, until we realized that we were directed to stand behind the cameras. Yeah. Every single person with a disability, whether they had a service animal, they were in a wheelchair, they had a walker, whether it be a rollator walker or just a regular walker, or they had a cane, if they had a disability in any way, shape, or form, they were directed to stand behind the camera. They weren't allowed to be seen. They weren't allowed to be in the audience. The way that that came off was that the company that was doing the filming was ashamed to have those with disabilities be seen on camera. And that was hurtful. That was really hurtful. It was hurtful to not only me as a person with a disability, but it was hurtful to stand back as a person that, although is very disabled by the chronic illnesses that she has, to sit back and stand back and look at those around me who didn't understand what was going on, who was standing next to people who were servicemen and servicewomen in our armed services, who gave up part of their lives for our country, who were standing back behind the camera, not allowed to be seen because it wasn't within look to be in the audience. And when that happened, it completely brought down my day, and I was very hurt. I felt ashamed for having a disability. I was very shaken up by it because although I've had issues with my disability and people making comments when I walked into a store after using my disability placard, I've never really taken them to heart. I've never cared because it just doesn't matter to me. I don't care what other people think about me when I'm walking into a grocery store. I know that my disabilities aren't visible. I know that my disabilities are invisible. But in that moment, it really mattered to me. It mattered to me that it was this whole class of people that were completely discriminated against. And that hurt. But sitting back now and thinking on the experience, while it still does resonate in me and is hurtful and it still does hurt me and I still get choked up about it because how can you not? There's a choice that has to be made. And that choice is, do I let it affect my opinion of that company as a whole? Do I let it affect my attitude whenever I enter the premises? Do I let it affect how I act in general towards people that I come in contact with? No, I don't. It's not anybody's sole fault that I come in contact with. It wasn't anybody's fault that I came in contact with when I mentioned it that day, because I was an advocate and I did speak up. And so did my mother, because she was with me as well, and she made it very aware that we knew what was going on and we were advocates about it. And I think that is another thing that can be said as well, is when you notice that something like that is happening, you really do have to speak up and be an advocate for it, because change doesn't happen unless you speak up and have a voice. And while we couldn't change what had happened right then and there, there's a possibility that it can be changed in the future. And that's the most important thing. And I think that's why my attitude changed on the entire experience after the fact. I can't change what happened for me and for any of those people that I was standing with. But maybe I made a change for the next round of people. I can only hope. I can only hope that maybe I raised enough awareness that maybe that won't happen again. So it's not a bad day just because I had to fill out more paperwork. Basically the same exact paperwork. It just looks different. It has a barcode on the top. It's not a bad day or a bad week or a bad month because of the discrimination that we watched and experienced. Somebody's at the door. It's always important to remember that you have to find the joy in every single day, even if it's one small little thing. It may be a bad day. Maybe you're having a bad week. Maybe it's so bad that you're having a bad month. But you have to remember that it's not a bad life. It's always important to have a voice. And remember that even if you don't feel heard, you are heard. Someone is always listening. You are strong. You matter. You are a warrior.